All right, Debatable, Mark and Alan, and a very special guest, and kind of unusual for us here on Debatable. We are glancing into the world of Broadway just a bit. Happy to do so. Lea Michele is in the studio.
Hi.
Hi, Lea.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
It's really great to see you.
Thanks.
So
I saw you in Spring Awakening. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of Broadway, and we don't get to talk all that much about Broadway here. So,
or or pop stars.
Yeah.
Of any new stripe. So, and there's a new record.
Yeah, my new album.
Any old second now, right?
Yeah, it comes out on
Friday, right?
The 28th. Yeah, It's called Places.
And you decided to sort of veer back from the world of pop to Broadway-ish kinds of feel?
You know, I wouldn't really use the word Broadway to refer to it, because I think just coming from Broadway, that sound is so specific for me. But it was important for this, record that I did draw upon just the influences of growing up in theater. But mainly what I learned from theater is just embracing my true sound. So that's what I took from my past and from, growing up in the theater and on Broadway. I could really sound and be whoever I wanted to be. And when you're making a pop record, there's a lot more that comes, into that whole mix. So I just wanted with this album to go back to my original sound. And there are still some pop influences on the album. And there's definitely, it's a full body of work. It's cohesive.
Yeah.
But the sound is just my own. And whether that's theatrical or maybe people think it's Broadway or people think it's pop, it's just me.
Right.
How does that distinction, or how do you feel that side coming through? Because you work with some great writers. I mean, writers like Linda Perry and Nathan Chapman, who I love, and folks like that on this record that are not, out of theatrical
Broadway,
world.
Yeah. Right.
So what do you feel like is different that you're bringing to this set of songs than to the last album?
Well, like I said, the last album did have a very heavy pop influence to this. So it was important that with this record, I just made it sound true to who I am, and find songs that I can definitely connect with, but that really just show off my voice. And I wanted it to be cohesive, and I wanted it to be an album that you could listen to now, but that the songs in 10 years would still be, they would make sense, and that you would just enjoy them just as much. That they weren't just like current in the moment songs, because there was the type of music that people were listening to then.
It's not that beat from that moment.
Exactly.
How do you think you kind of grew up doing this kind of thing, and certainly at a very young age had had on-stage experience? How do you think that all of that affected your music taste? Certainly kids that maybe you were in school with, and I know you had sort of weird schooling too, because you're a stage kid. But
I went to normal school.
You went to Tenafly High, I think. Yeah,
there you go.
So, but I mean, you had this other thing, so you automatically had, I would imagine, another sensibility, performing those kinds of songs, being in touch with those kinds of people. So did it affect you?
I grew up in a household of only and all classic rock. My parents listened to Zeppelin and The Who and Queen, and so that was sort of my childhood soundtrack.
That's so interesting.
And that was able to get in there before you started moving to stage and all of that.
Yeah,
that was already kind of
Yeah, they were huge. Like, they went to every concert. Elton John. It was just like a very music-heavy household of all of those great bands. And then, I got into Broadway, but for me, it was sort of important to shut that door when I was in school and try and be a normal girl, and that's when a lot of like the pop influence came into my life. With the pop music when I was in high school, it was really in its height with Britney Spears and the heat of American Idol and Kelly Clarkson.
Sure.
So that's when a lot of my love for pop music came into play. And then you come on a show like Glee, where you're doing everything. So my life has influences from classic rock, theater, pop music, and then any and everything from Glee. So as in creating my first record, it was really hard for me to figure out what I wanted the sound to be. And I think I made a pop record because at the time I was filming Glee, and that's what was really in my pocket at the moment. But like I've mentioned, coming back to this album, this new record, I do, have more of a sound coming back to my, original vocals.
I was going to ask about that, the range of the Glee stuff, because I don't know how it worked. You'd show up, or they'd send you the script, or whatever at whatever moment, and you'd see like, oh, okay, this week we're going.
This week I'm
over
doing
here.
This
we're
song.
doing this song, or we're doing this artist, or we're doing, and when that's behind you, and now you move forward, how do you, what did that do for you to be able to draw on? Having done all of this stuff and having immersed yourself into all these different styles.
It was a negative thing in creating my first record in that I couldn't really decipher what my own sound was because I was doing so many different artists within such a short period of time, like every week 10 songs from Salt and Pepper to Queen. But it really did, the positive aspect of it is I realized I can sing a lot of different genres vocally. And I think that as an artist, that's a big, challenge that I feel like I tackled quite well.
Yeah. There's, I think, this sort of, I don't want to say casual fan or casual listener would have this sort of distinction between the way they sing on Broadway and the way everybody else sings. Do you have to do something or not do something between those two kinds of styles?
No. I mean, my record that I created, I wanted it to be easily transferable to the stage. So I wanted you to be able to hear it on the album and enjoy it. And then when I perform it on a stage, whether it's a theater, a concert hall, or an arena, it has to sound the exact same. Whether I'm doing Broadway or recording albums now or doing concerts, my voice is going to sound the exact same. It's not going to change.
So there's nothing that you sort of just have.
It's not like I go, I'm going to put my theatrical voice on now. It's like, no, I sound like me.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's sort of, an actor has to, you have a backstory. You're coming from a place right away, so you have that just as a person in life would. And a singer potentially would have you come from a place with a song.
Maybe if I was playing a character that sounded a little bit different or had a different intonation, if I was just being Leah, then it's going to sound the same. But if I'm playing Fanny Bryce on Broadway, then I might sing songs a little bit differently than if it were Lea Michele singing them.
Right.
You've told it, but I love the explanation of this album title.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's one of those where now you hear your story and then you hear it differently.
Yeah.
So
I think people, obviously this, Places does sort of go back to all the places in my life that have led me to this moment. But I did want the title to be some sort of callback to my life in theater and where I come from and New York and my original place of inspiration. And when you're on Broadway or when you're performing on the stage, you get a 30-minute call, a 15-minute call, 10-minute call, a 5-minute call, and then you get your Places call. And they say, Places, everyone, Places to the top of the show. And when I hear that, it means it's showtime. So when I hear it, first of all, it reminds me of my roots, but then it also means it's time to perform. And the second largest part of releasing this record was also getting back on the stage immediately. And I have a small concert tour that I'm doing right now throughout the U.S. I just did it in London, and now I'm back here performing. And that was one of my main goals with this record. I couldn't tour the first one because I was busy doing Glee, but now I can. And I want to get back and show everyone that this is where I really belong and that I'm a live singer. And it's a talent that I'm very proud of.
I just read, and I don't know if this is out or if it's even true, but I read that you were cast in a pilot, a sitcom?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, so, I'm on a new ABC 30-minute comedy. It's a pilot. I had the best time filming it. It is such an awesome show. It's about this young rapper that decides to sort of, as a joke, run for town mayor, and he wins. And it's really cute. It has original hip-hop and rap by Daveed Diggs from Hamilton, and it was written by Jeremy Bronson, who's incredible, worked with Fallon for years, and Mindy Kaling, and he's such a talented writer. And so it's a great cast, young, fresh talent, and I had the best time, so I really hope that we get to do more.
Is it a singing role?
Yeah, and you play.
I am not singing.
You're not singing?
Just the boys are rapping, but not me. I'm just I'm sort of the I would say how like Pam and Jim were the serious, or how Rashida was on Parks and Rec. I'm that character on this show. I sort of bring the normality to the show. If you can believe that after what I did on Scream Queens.
All right, you've done enough of that.
Exactly.
That was the other thing I wanted to ask you about. You're involved with Ryan Murphy, who just so prolific in so many ways, so many areas. I'd love to see you on American Horror Story.
It's hard.
You already did Scream Queens.
I know. I feel like if I had the honor of doing another show with Ryan again soon, I probably would want to do Crime Story because I feel like I did the horror with Scream Queens. Feud would be great unless we found a great feud, but Crime Story is just like that. Those are the shows that I love to watch. People versus OJ, I watched, the Jinx. Making a Murderer, like those are my favorite shows as a viewer. So I'd love to find a great show with Ryan to do for American Crime Story.
I bet he'd love to find a great one to do.
I know. I wonder what we could do. I'd have to think.
Cook something up.
Yeah.
But it has to be real. It has to be a true story. So
they're out there.
Yeah.
The shows that you're doing now. You said this is about sort of a focus on the singing.
Yeah, I mean,
are you drawing from beyond these albums? Or are you doing like what are you bringing onto a stage here?
So I put together this concert even before the album was released. We put tickets on sale because it was really important for me, like I said, to just get back onto the stage. And I put together a really great concert. It's just me with a small band, and I do a handful of songs from this new album, Places. I do a couple of songs from my first album, Louder, and then I do a great set of songs from Glee because it was the best time of my life. And I love singing those songs and telling stories about what those moments of filming the show were like. And I'm gonna constantly be switching up the Glee set because there's just too many songs to pick.
That's a lot to write.
We just added 2 more the other night, and I have a special guest coming to one of my concerts from the show, so they're gonna sing another song. So that's my favorite part of the show because it's kind of always changing.
That I have to imagine for a singer that show was exciting and great, but also it's got to be tough to just have this stuff sort of foisted on you based on the script,
Yeah, it was going, we had 0 time. That's the thing. We had no time.
That schedule, right, the shooting schedule
I'd
is
get
brutal.
to the studio sometimes and I'd say to them, I have 30 minutes off of set. We have to record a 6-minute Celine Dion, vocal fucking Olympic song right now. But we would do it. Yeah. And it would come out great.
And being chosen, I'm sure being chosen with an awareness of your voices, but not being chosen sort of for voice and for range first, being chosen for story.
The songs.
Yeah.
It depended some, but mainly for story, yeah.
So you really have to, in the same way that you made your character on that show, you found something there so that it just wasn't, this obnoxious, self-important guy. You found something. So I guess you had to do that same sort of thing for the song. You got to find a way into it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, many have said that, I think Ryan said that making an episode of Glee was like jumping out of an airplane, and before you hit the ground, you have to learn your dance combination, you have to record your songs, you have to learn your lines, you have to film the show, you have to edit it, you have to do costume fittings, you have to figure out hair and makeup, and then there's an episode of Glee. Yeah. So we all found a way to make it happen, and it came together incredibly well. I'm so proud of what I did on Glee. Sometimes I still watch the episodes to just be like, you did that. To remind myself if I ever think that I'm too tired for something or I'm not strong enough to do something, I say, well, remember that time they did a musical number standing on your hands in a whole pool of people that probably all the boys were peeing in the pool? You did it.
You pulled that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Lea Michele is our guest here on Debatable. Before we wrap with you, we're going to be doing this panel later today, and we have a panel of millennials, and you're kind of a millennial. You're on the upper end of millennial these days.
We slice it, but closer than we are.
I am a millennial. I just turned 22.
Right in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But you said that you grew up in a classic rock household and a Zeppelin and Stones type of household. So the question we're trying to look at is, what is going to be the millennial stairway to heaven?
Really putting you kind of on the spot. But
can you tell me what are the years really specifically that are
millennial?
Carrie knows this answer.
84 to 96.
Born 84 to
Born-
96. But, you know, whatever it is within that, sort of for this generation, like
84 to 96.
Stairway to Heaven's had a great run for 45 years.
Even if you're
now
not
as, like,
officially a
the
millennial,
anthem.
as a singer.
When was Don't Stop Believing?
That was like 80 something, 82.
You don't think that that's
81?
The next Stairway to Heaven? No.
Well, no. This is a question to you.
Yeah, but that's too far. We're not talking about something that came out in the 80s.
Okay, so that's my question. Though.
Right?
What are
Yeah.
the years, though?
Well, the something contemporary. So something
Right now?
something within the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, something relatively contemporary that would have that same, an epic feel. Maybe something about fairies running around, and, maybe some sort of, J.R.R. Tolkien vibe.
Is there a big universal anthem song
that you can
from
recognize
this generation
in the first couple of notes
that's going to replace what that was?
I feel that I will literally be sitting at home thinking about this now. I will wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, and it will haunt
your
me,
dreams.
and I'll probably tweet you like 1900 answers. But for me, I think less of a song right now, and I think of bands. Like, I'm probably thinking maybe it would be something that U2 did, like Beautiful Day. I mean, Beautiful Day isn't Stairway to Heaven, but like that I'm just trying to think of like these
has an anthemic
songs
feel
that
to it.
came out over these years that you just like you still hear to this day. Like, whether is it U2 or is it like, who are the bands or who are the artists? Is it a Beyonce song? Is it like those icons, those people? So again,
we're going to give you the hotline number. We're going to be doing this, like around
what do you
6
think?
p.m.
Can
Eastern.
I ask you guys?
We got to save it for later in the show, and
you
we're
do?
listening to these guys. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but out of, is it Beyonce? Is it Coldplay?
Is it Coldplay?
It Kanye? Is it like, what's something that, again, in 25 years from now, people will still
people are going
love
to
in that
remember
way?
and go to, and
You're out there looking at songs, listening to songs.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one, and on radio we put you on the spot. You haven't had a chance to reflect.
Wish.
It's difficult to
I mean, I
to pull
wish
out,
I could. I wish I could think about that. Well, anyway.
We're going to give you the
Keep it
number
in
if you want to call in a little
Yeah,
later today.
thank
Please
In the
do.
middle of the other interviews today,
Lea
and it
Michele's
comes to
on the
you,
line.
can run in. So,
Awesome.
So, congrats on this
Thank
record.
you.
I can't wait to hear the rest of it.
Thank you.
I mean, the stuff that you've done so far, especially the stuff on stage, is just so phenomenal. What an amazing experience, and what a life you've had so far.
Thank you.
It's good being Lea Michele.
It's
I think.
pretty good. I'm pretty happy. I'm very grateful, I have to say.
That's
the newest
great.
single is Anything's Possible.
Yeah.
The album is Places, out on Friday, and then coming soon to a
Stage near
stage near
you.
you. It's Lea
All right.
Michele.
Lea Michele here on
guys.
Debatable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.